Winning's not for everyone, and I get that. The oldest truism in high level sports and definitely in F1, but these are new levels of underperformance now as far as Lando Norris is concerned. The Lando Norris 2.0 that rocked up in Australia is now gonzo. All of the travails that he needed to fix for last year have come back in abundance. They've seen them Lando 1.0 and raised them this. Now execution. Lando doesn't even know the word of it. What are we doing? Okay, so for Max Verstappen, this wasn't his best qualifying, but you get the sense that at least he's optimizing for his not very good circumstance. So too Lewis Hamilton down there in 9th, but you get the feeling that at this point, at this juncture, that was the best that you were going to get out of Sir Lewis. Charles Leclerc up there in 3rd. George Russell outperformed with the car up there in 2nd. Front row settings on a 130.0. Oscar Piastri was god tier too. You see that dude's input super smooth on the steering, reminiscent of, I don't know, say an Alain Prost. But then you get Lando all the way down there in 6th position on a 130.267. Everyone as near as makes no difference between Q2 and Q3 improved circa 0.6. Where was Lando Norris then? Only 0.3 improving. Ask in the post qualifying press conference, what happened, Lando? Lando appeared to not even know. He didn't want to talk about it. He just wanted to go back to his room and sulk in his pillow, and that, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't speak too well of his prospects for fixing for those ills, the multitudinous of ills going into the race tomorrow. Lucas, you're a legend. Big up yourself. Sad for Lewis going. I'm trying to go easy. I don't even want to touch on Lewis, to be fair, because at the very least I felt like he optimized for his circumstance, yet and still 0.5 adrift of his teammate. But again, we'll have that conversation another day. Today I just want to talk about Lando, because I feel like that dude keeps talking, keeps writing checks that his ass cannot cash. Before qualifying, he was talking about het up and focused on all of the Red Bull nonsense, rear wing gate, flexi rear wing gate. This is what Lando had to say. We're all fully within the rules at McLaren. We're doing a good job. Hold on a second. Who's doing a good job, Lando Norris? We at McLaren are doing a good job. Your team's doing a good job in giving you the car. Oscar Piastri's doing a good job for sure in optimizing for his circumstance, in dropping it on pole. He is doing his job. Bill Belichick settings. You though, Lando Norris, as at the Bahrain Grand Prix, are not doing a good job, sir. Anything but. Execution is not your lot, sir, and you are failing to deliver in real time on your not insubstantial potential. Take that one to the bank. Red Bull have had plenty of time to do the same thing as us, and they're not. Well, you, Lando Norris, have had plenty of time to replicate for the levels of execution that your teammate Oscar Piastri is, and you are not. It is more that they should do a better job, says Lando Norris, talking of Red Bull, rather than keep complaining about things. You would be forgiven for thinking that one of the Red Bull, Max Verstappen or a Charles Leclerc, instead of Lando Norris talking about the Red Bulls, that one of the other drivers are talking about Lando. And herein lies my problem with Lando Norris and why I have to keep going scorched earth and getting overly animated about the chap. Yes, he's a brilliant racer. Yes, he's got speed for days. Change in hand. Of course he's rapid. You saw Zandvoort last year. You saw Singapore. He's god tier when he's ready, but there are problems and travails. The path to a Drivers' Championship in 2025 for Lando Norris is now beset on both sides by execution and or lack thereof, and mental fortitude the same, because I think this dude is going to get challenged now. You need to make the likes of Zach Brown and Andrea Stella make a decision. Make them have to enforce papaya-coloured rules. But now, you don't even have that. You're in 6th, Lando Norris, the 6th in the best car. What are we doing here? We know that last year, as far as qualifying, he dunked on Oscar Piastri. This was his sophomore season, though. Oscar Piastri then was only a young buck, just getting to grips with the weird and wacky world that is F1. Out-qualified Oscar, if I recall correctly, something to the tune of 19-3. That's material now. However, That's going to be different. Don't think that you will have that privilege this year, Lando, because OJ Piastri is coming. Many F1 aficionados are now predicting OJ Piastri for the championship. So roundly is he outperforming one Lando Norris. And it doesn't need to be this way, chat. He can be a champion. He has all the bloody minerals and the tangibles using which he can become a champion because he's fast. Got the charisma, he's got the look of a champion. They love him over at McLaren. Zach Brown, Lando is Zach Brown's boy. Even a blind man can see that. So what now then, chat? What needs to happen for Lando Norris? I'll tell you one thing, he needs to do one of these, yeah. Shut your trap, chat. Stop creating problems for yourself, Lando. Giving the world's press and media sound bites using which they can throw back in your face, just like I've done. They're not doing a good enough job. What? How very dare you, Lando Norris? If you're going to do that, if you're going to say something like that, when come qualifying, you need to show and prove. This is a problem under the umbrella heading now of execution. Because if that was a practice session, bet your bottom dollar that Lando could drop it on pole. But in the heat of the moment, all too frequently now, Lando Norris, Lando 1.0, finds it difficult, nigh on impossible, to pull this thing out the fire, to extract out of himself the best in the moments where it matters, because that's how you judge greatness, right? Anybody can do it on a Sunday, any given Sunday. Anybody can do it when there's no pressure. Anybody can do it when all the circumstances are favourable. But how about when it's reverse? How about when it's difficult? How about when you've got Oscar Piastri, a resplendent Oscar Piastri in enhorabuena, in momentum settings, becoming who he is? How about when you've got him on the other side of the garage, remembering who he is, finding his final form? How about when you've got the best car and you need to go and deliver at the Bahrain Grand Prix, the circuit around which McLaren, your team, have never ever won, notwithstanding the fact that the Bahrain Sovereign Wealth Fund now own a majority stake in the papaya colour team? How about when the pressure's on? How about when you're the championship favourite? You, Lando Norris, said last year that next year will be my year. Well, what's happening to that now? Absolutely nothing is the answer, because all that I'm talking about with Lando Norris right now, as at the 12th of the 4th, 2025, all I see is underperformance and talk. Less talk, Sir Lando Norris 1.0, more action. That, Sir Lando, is your mission should you choose to accept it, sir. Over to you, Lando Norris.